Hi all, welcome to another YouTube video, and today I'm going to be telling you about what I've been up to and what I've been doing over summer, because I promised some of you in the videos that I would talk about it. First thing to notice is we're not in the flat, we're in the beautiful Cotswolds here, and that's because there have been some real changes to what I am up to, but more about that in another video, so stay tuned. So it seems like an odd time to be talking to you about what I've been up to during summer when it's January and it's absolutely freezing cold. But we're going to start in July nonetheless, and having spent 3 years at university, I finally graduated with a 2-1 in agriculture from the RAU Cirencester. Enough of that, we'll move on. We then went up to Lincolnshire and did some pea vining, as you've seen in some of the other videos. But then it gets interesting, because we travelled down to kind of the Cambridgeshire Fens and started a whole new kind of project and a whole new story of what was going on. So let's begin that. Before we start, I'll just say most of these will be pictures and videos from my iPhone, a few from the GoPro and stuff, but just bear with, it's fine, it'll be alright. We started with salad potatoes. Now, I was running the grading shed, so I didn't really get outside that much. But as the pictures show, we used a standard T2 harvester, trailed behind a New Holland, and this picked up the salad potatoes. On the back there's a canvas which you can put on or take off. For salads they keep it on, and you can put graders on the back of it to pick off the mud clods between the potatoes to try and avoid kind of the grader itself having to go extremely slowly. So moving on, we then went to red and brown onions, and these went either into boxes from the grading line or they went into bulkers. So what happened was a lorry dropped a bulker off in the yard. You'd then pick it up with a tractor which had a dolly on it, move it under the conveyor, fill it up, drop it off, lorry comes back, weigh it out, bam, off it goes to stores outside the farm. The grading line itself, you'll see, has got a hopper where the trailer tipped its load. The onions then come up there, they go over some clod rollers and some spirals, onto the picking table where the graders picked off the worst of the onions, and then went down into kind of like sizing squares. So I'll talk more about that later with the potatoes. But they went over the first one, most of them, and then straight up into the bulkers. So we were just moving them around the yard, and there were red and brown, Centro, High Tech, to name a few. You might know some more. A pub quiz, you know. So there we go, that was onions. So we're now on to sugar beet, and the farm, it grew a lot of that. So they brought in contractors. The first time I saw it, 3 Homer self-propelled harvesters. I was in awe. I was like, quite incredible. And they were using Case Pumas, well, 1 Case Puma and also a John Deere 6250R, I believe. Had a little ride in there with Jack, who was driving it, so that was nice. But usually they brought only 1 harvester. They would obviously harvest it, put it in the trailer, which would go and dump it at the side of the field or in a corner of a field, wherever was best. And then what happened then was we either got in a Euro roper, which is a self-propelled kind of loading beet shovel. It's not a shovel, but machine. You'll see pictures, videos going over the top, so you know what I mean. Seriously incredible. And the one thing to note, which I found amazing about it, was it was so quiet. I was expecting to go up there and hear so much noise, but actually it was so quiet. I'd have loved to have gone in it, got some footage for you guys, but I didn't. Maybe next year, who knows. The other option, say if it wasn't by a road or by a track because you didn't want to get the lorries stuck, or you know you didn't want to bring the Euro roper on, you got a loading shovel with a little cleaner, so it would shovel it into the cleaner and then straight into the lorry. Sorry I didn't get any footage of that, but hey ho. So that was sugar beet. Can't remember the varieties, not very good of me, but that was incredible. So yeah, sugar beet. Main crop potatoes. Now this is where we all want to get onto, isn't it? Because they were a nightmare, and having been in that shed for somewhat 3 months, I was sick of it by the end, so you know. So we started again with that stand-in that I showed you earlier, that blue trailed harvester behind the New Holland. Things just weren't going our way. Weather was horrendous, mud on the fields, we started getting behind a bit. So we brought in a bit of help, and that was in the form of a DeWolf self-propelled harvester with someone in it as well called Mike, he was alright, he was a nice boy. So you'll oversee some footage of Mike in the self-propelled harvester. He loved it, he had his tunes blasting. You couldn't actually get in that cab if you didn't take your boots off. Mud in there was a big no, despite it being a farm vehicle, but you know, some people live like that. Personally, I like to keep my cab quite clean, but he was at that next level. But it was inspiring, it was a great machine really. And obviously these two went together and suddenly we increased productivity, started getting through it, and it was still late, it still rained, we couldn't do anything about the weather, but we started making tracks, so that was good. So I spent a lot of time in that shed because I was kind of in charge of that and looking after it. So all I really saw was these stickers, which would say the field name and the variety and the size. So I'll speak to you a little bit more about the size in a minute. But it was so nice once that DeWolf came, we started moving fields. There were only 6 fields, but you know, just change field numbers was incredible. It felt like you were getting somewhere because it was and is a slow process. It's not like, say, like harvesting cereals or harvesting this field. You just get in, you know, 3 hours or something, you're done, on to the next. It's like a slow, we took 6 days, 10 days in some fields, which was depressing. So yeah, but what would happen was the potatoes would come up the hopper over the spirals that I spoke about earlier onto the picking table, and they'd pick off the worst ones, the stones, the clods, get rid of that, and then they would go over a sizing chain or like a sorting chain kind of thing. So we had 45s and unders, this is millimeters, 45 to 65, and then 65 plus. The 65 plus are the bakers, so we had Melody and Nectar as the 2 varieties we grew. And you know, it was fine, but I tell you, as the night started rolling in, it was tough because we were still going at like 7:30. It was pitch black, couldn't see anything. It started in the morning again, it was horrible. And I think eventually it was something like November the 12th we finished, and praise the Lord, because our dreams came true that day. But yeah, I mean, what I would say to people is try different things. Like the peas I thoroughly enjoyed, and the potatoes, the onions gave me a different experience, and they also grew shallots, but I missed that because I was doing the peas. But that still went over the grading line. So yeah, try something new is my message to take away from this video. But I hope that you have enjoyed it a little bit, somewhat found it maybe a little bit interesting. If you've got any questions, ask me, just let me know. And yeah, thank you very much for joining me. Thank you very much to Freddie here behind the camera for helping me, even though he arrived late, so it's quite dark, but you know, it's the Cotswolds, just enjoy. So thank you, and also keep an eye out for another video coming. Thanks, that little pan, where I need volunteers, I need farmers, I need farm businesses, I need people involved in farming, in any respect, and I kind of want to do a series, I suppose you could call it. But yeah, if you're interested and willing, then let me know below. But I will be doing another video talking a little bit more in depth about it. So yeah, thanks very much, and catch you around.